Okay.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. With some technical difficulties. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen again. Sorry about that. Okay, so due to the governor's recent order, all members of the Recreation and Parks Commission are participating virtually. For virtual meetings, commission members will be muted until they are asked to be heard, and at that time, they can be unmuted and state their name and their vote. All votes will be done via roll call vote. A commission member will be then recognized and state their name. Today's meeting is a public meeting per the notice. Citizens can listen to the meeting if they contact the city manager's office and make the necessary arrangements. The meeting will be live streamed on the city's YouTube channel, which can be accessed via the city website. And the recordings of the meeting will be available by next Tuesday on the city's YouTube channel. Okay, and we will go ahead and do roll. John Gunkel.
I'm present.
All right, great. Sean Hawkins.
Present.
Awesome. Joe Cassidy.
Here.
Okay. Taylor Ansley.
Present.
Awesome. George Peterson. I think he said he might be a little bit late. Bob Hartwell.
Here.
Okay. Mashika Jefferson. I think I saw her on. Mashika, can you hear us? I thought. Okay. Mashika Jefferson. No, it looks like she might have dropped too. Okay. And unfortunately, we do have some news. Kathy has resigned from the Recreation and Parks Commission. So we will have that vacancy to fill. We've contacted the mayor's office to make those arrangements. And then last but not least, Sean France.
Here.
Awesome. Okay. So unfortunately, we do not have quorum at this time. We would need Mashika to rejoin the meeting or George to show up. However, we can go ahead and go over the minutes and we can hear about the Hauser property if you guys would like.
Okay, let's go ahead and review the February minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at them? But basically, we had some information about the emergency response route, organizing or authorizing acquisition of the property of the Crossland Road. We had some presentation on youth violence prevention. Then we had an update on the roles and responsibilities handbook that Taylor is heading. And we started on the formal updates. We went through the recreation center, special use facilities, but we didn't get to the maintenance issues, and which was deferred till this meeting. So that's just a short recap of minutes. Since we don't have did Mashika rejoin?
Sorry, not yet.
Okay, so we can't approve them then.
Could the outline of the handbook that was shared at last meeting be shared with those of us who weren't in attendance at the last meeting and then added as an addendum to the minutes?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's move on then. William, were you going to describe the Hauser property?
Yes, Chair. Given the fact that we don't have quorum at this time, what I would like to suggest is that we go into some information that Josh Billings, our GIS administrator, has prepared. It's more of an informational item that doesn't require a vote. Wanted to make sure that we had time for him to kind of go over some of that information and share this new tool with the commission, one of which that we're also using internally. And then if we're able to get to quorum, come back, approve the minutes, and then I can go over the Jack Hauser property. If we aren't able to obtain quorum before the end of the meeting, I'll still go over a brief presentation, but we'll bring it back for an official vote at our April meeting.
All right, sounds good.
I know that we kind of asked the commission to kind of go out and look at various park facilities to kind of provide some updates for us, and look at ways to kind of document things and deficiencies, whether they were cosmetic or whether there were safety related issues. And so work with Josh Billings, who's our GIS administrator, to develop a tool. We want to make that tool available to the Recreation and Parks Commission. It is a tool that we are using in-house to not only document, but also track the progress of safety, either safety related issues, cosmetic related issues, or anything that requires any sort of maintenance throughout our park system. Wanted to have a tool that we could use internally, kind of report and track those things. And so I want to turn it over to Josh to kind of go over a dashboard that he's created that we'll be using to kind of that staff, as well as the commission, can use to kind of go through and document things that they find that need attention throughout our park system. Josh?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. William, thank you for the quick introduction about the new tool that we'll be able to use to submit any type of new maintenance requests that might be occurring throughout our parks. As William mentioned, we are kind of in the process of making sure that our parks are public friendly, that they look good, that they have good curb appeal, and that there are no safety concerns within our parks. So last year we had created a Google form so that you guys were able to go out to varying different parks and kind of fill out different information for these parks. I have created another tool. It's very similar to the Google form. It's called Survey 123, which is basically just a GIS tool that we can use to be able to map these things out, so that we can kind of look at these requests in a more real-time view, where we can assess the request and also fill out any additional information that we might need about the request. I don't know, can I share my screen, Felicia? Or are you able to share the screen for the form?
Let me go ahead and I'll have you share the screen. Give me 1 sec. Okay, you should be able to share your screen now.
Yes, thank you. So this is the form. I believe Felicia sent out a link via email just previously to this meeting. It's a very simple form. It's as you can read. So basically, it's just basic information about any kind of request that you might have when you're out in a park, seeing things. So first would be the date of request. Obviously, if you're out in the park today, you're going to put the date, today's date. You'll put your name here and a contact information, so email, a phone number, and then also the location of the maintenance request. So if you're out at Bellevue Park, you can click on Bellevue Park. And then here, you'll describe your maintenance request. So let's say we're out at Bellevue Park and we see that there's an issue with a picnic shelter out of Bellevue Park. Let's say there's a hole in the roof in the picnic shelter. We can say, noticed a hole in the roof of the picnic shelter at Bellevue Park. Is this a request urgent? Yes or no? I'm gonna say, we can say yes, that's an urgent request. And then also, has anyone in maintenance been notified? That's a yes or no question. If you're out in the field and you have your phone, you can use this form again to be able to upload this. You can take a picture of the specific request that you have and upload it right here. And then once you have all this information filled out, you click submit, and then it will go directly to our dashboard that we have here internally that all of the staff can see the request. Also, every staff member who's part of this process will also receive an email. So whoever is responsible for this specific type of maintenance request will get notified, and we can forward this request and this email to the specific department that might be responsible for this, whether it's a PFM, whether it's our parks maintenance crews, or whether it might be our vegetation management crews. So this is a little bit more simpler version of the Google form that we used previously. And this will be available for you guys as you guys are out in our parks, kind of helping us seeing what's going on in our parks.
Hey, Josh, quick question. Is this available to who? You mentioned the committee members. Who else is this form available to?
This is available to all the staff, all of our employees. Anyone who has a link can technically request a maintenance. If you know, public sees something out while they're out and about, they can also make a maintenance request. But for the most part, this is going to be used for our staff and for commission members.
One of the things that we've had a constant, we've had discussions over the years, and we've had to have follow-up conversations with staff. You know, there are very few people who have more eyes on the ground than their recreation and park staff. And regardless of what their respective areas are, whether it's their recreation center staff or some staff out at Salem Lake or park maintenance staff or pool staff, we try to encourage all staff members when they see an issue to document it, take some pictures, maybe send an email. Thought that maybe creating this form would help kind of fast track that and make it a little bit more uniform across the board. Once the requests have come, once we receive an email that a request has been submitted, we can investigate that. If it's something that we're responsible for, create the work order, make sure those things get taken care of, but also report, high grass or certain areas of our parks where grass isn't being mowed particularly well, or if there are down trees and limbs, or if there are issues in and around our recreation centers. I'm going to ask Josh to kind of bring up the dashboard, because I was out at Community Davis Harris yesterday looking at having a meeting. And while I was there, I used this form to submit 2 requests of my own. And Josh, if you don't mind, can you click on the request and kind of show them how the information, once it gets submitted, how it shows up in the dashboard?
Absolutely. So to view these, this is right now, this is only internally, so only our recreation staff can view this at this time. So if you want to view a certain request, you click on the specific request that you're looking for, and then it pulls up basically that spreadsheet, that form pulls up most of that information here. So it tells us that this is open. It tells us the specific maintenance request. For this one, there was a planting bed that needs to be fixed. And then we also can see that maintenance was notified. Someone in our maintenance department was notified, and then that this was requested by Mr. Royston. It also gives us a picture there, so it kind of gives you an idea of what's going on.
And Josh showed the other request, and this is an example of one that our staff isn't necessarily responsible for fixing. However, you can see how this particular request, I entered it as an urgent request because to me, there's a safety issue regarding the metal cover around this Duke Energy meter. When I was out there at the facility, I noticed that this meter had the metal cover around it had some sharp edges. So that's why it was an urgent issue. I did start off the text in terms of the maintenance type of maintenance request and saying safety related issue. Property facilities management will go out and replace this cover. And we can also, what's important for me in ensuring that these things get handled, we're able to understand, well, we know exactly who was notified and the date in which they were notified. Safety related issues should take precedence over cosmetic ones. But it gives us the ability to follow up with this particular individual and say, listen, we submitted this safety related issue on this day. What is the status of getting this taken care of for us? And making sure that we can follow up with those requests. And once they are closed out, staff can verify that they're closed out. The request will go from the open request at the top of the dashboard down to closed request. But the dashboard is only visible by staff. It's an internal tool, but I wanted to kind of go through and explain that that you guys, the commission does have the ability to submit this. Once we were able to kind of work through it and work out some kinks, we may look at opening up to maybe other departments that we work closely with. But right now, we're going to use this as an internal tool to make sure that our facilities are as safe and as ready for the public to use as possible. Anybody have any questions?
I just wanted to comment real quick. I think it's great. Really appreciate the work that's gone into this. I think it'll be a really helpful tool to have. I would just encourage all the commission members to bookmark this on your phone so you have quick access to it when you're out and about in the parks. And then similarly, Felicia, I think this would be a good addition to that handbook as well, right? And when we're talking about sort of the expectations of new commission members and being the kind of eyes on the ground out in the parks, it'd be great to just make sure we have that link prominent in that handbook as well.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Wanted to thank Josh. I mean, this is something that he pulled together pretty quickly for us. But as we over the past 15 to 20 years, we've been pulling our department kind of out of the dark ages, and we're using technology, relevant and current technology, in ways that can help the department operate much more efficiently. So, kudos to Josh and all the staff members that were testing this thing out. We've been working on it, Josh, for about a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
Had a couple of issues, but we've been able to work all of those out. If you're ever out and you're using this form to submit something and you run into a particular message or have any issues or errors with submitting anything, just reach out to either myself, Felicia. We can get a hold of Josh and kind of get whatever issues corrected as quickly as possible. Well, thank you, Josh. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
William, I think this is really nice. It's really simple and looks like it's easy to use.
Yeah, we wanted to kind of keep it as data friendly as possible. Something very, very easy that, regardless of what type of cell coverage you have, at least you'll be able to load the form up. You are able to attach photographs. I think you can attach one photograph per entry. But as long, I would encourage anyone that does submit those pictures to kind of, sometimes staff would take pictures very, very close up on where the deficiency was or wherever the issue was. But if you can kind of take a picture that kind of gives us some context as to where the issue is on the property, it allows us to kind of pinpoint that a little quicker and move forward. But I do appreciate the kind words, and I think it'd be a very, very robust tool that we'll use, even though it's simple, to help make sure that our park is readily available for citizens to use. I do believe we have quorum now, Felicia. So, Chair, would you like to want to take this time to go back, approve the minutes, and then I'll present our business item?
All right, sounds good. So I kind of reviewed quickly the minutes earlier. So do we have a motion to approve the February minutes?
I'll make a motion that the February minutes be approved. John France.
I second the motion. Was that you, Sean?
Yes.
Okay, just remember to state your name for me.
Sean Hawkins.
Thank you. All right, and we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. John Gunkel,
Approve.
okay. Joe Cassidy,
Abstain. I wasn't present.
okay. Bob Hartwell,
Abstain. I wasn't present.
okay. Taylor Ansley,
Approve.
okay. Sean Hawkins, you made the motion, so you approve. Mashika Jefferson,
Approve.
thank you. And John France, you also made a motion. You approve, correct?
Approved.
Okay, so the motion does carry, the minutes are approved. And I will make sure to make that addendum.
Okay, so I guess we move on to the Hauser property. You want to
Yes.
describe that, William?
Okay, many years ago, I think dating back to even back when Tim Grant and Michael Vista were working in the department, that had to be 10+ years ago. The department was approached by the family, the Jack Hauser family. They wanted to donate the property. They expressed interest in donating a large part of their property to the city as a passive recreational opportunity. About 3 years ago, they approached myself as well as Kurt Yearling, the real estate administrator for the city, and to kind of restart those talks about donating a little over 30, close to 40 acres of the family's farmland to the city. During that time, they were aware that, and as you can see on the map with the pink shading, that they were aware that the proposed beltway could possibly come through a portion of their property. They wanted to take the time to negotiate with the state to figure out exactly which portions of the property would be that the state would have to have for and the right of way needed to build a beltway. They finished those negotiations, and they were beginning to restart the conversations with the family to obtain. I think it's going to be after the state obtains their property, it's going to be closer to 30+ acres of very well maintained farmland. On the property, almost on that exact piece where it says 1.19 acres, there's a house there. The house is in fairly good condition. I don't know the square footage of the home. I did see the inside of it. It's been very well maintained. Has a 2-car garage, and right at that point on the map where it says 25.63 acres, there are a series of historic buildings on the property. One of which is a very large rustic barn. So several of the structures on the property do need some TLC, just in terms of just to shore them up for maintenance and safety reasons. But they're working with Kaylin Kingsbury, who is the associate director and general counsel for the Piedmont Land Conservancy. And so the family wants to donate the property to the city with some restrictions that would, in terms of how the land would be used and operated. And ultimately it would just be for passive recreational opportunities. There may be some walking trails out there, but we wouldn't build any playgrounds or ball fields or anything that you would typically see in more of our active recreational park properties. There's a lot of historical character and a lot of historical structures on the site that we can make available to the public and provide some outdoor educational opportunities for. It would fall under, my initial thoughts is that this property would fall under our special facilities superintendent, because as Gregory James, who manages Salem Lake, Historic Cadaver, the quarry, this will fall under his purview. In terms of a managed site, initially looking at the property, and I did visit it a little over 3 years ago. It's heavily wooded. There isn't a lot of development in the wooded areas of the property. There's soft surface footpaths that get you to the large barn and some of the other structures. But we would make this available for the public, maybe provide some horseback riding trails. Other than Salem Lake, we don't really allow that anywhere else in our park system, but this would be a great place to do that. Maybe make some renovations to the barn, maybe use it as an outdoor wedding venue or an outdoor event space. And there are several things in the air in terms of how the house that's on the property could be used. One of which it could be renovated for staff offices, so that we can have a staff person here on the site managing the property. And another option is to possibly renovate the home and maybe rent it out at a discounted rate to a police officer who could live there and also help us provide additional security protection for the property as well. But we wanted to get the commission's blessing to move forward with having the discussions with the family to accept this gift deed into our park inventory. Once we're able, as part of that due diligence, as part of that process, we would come back to the commission with the actual survey that shows exactly the exact amount of acres that we would be absorbing into our park system. And Chair, if you would like, we don't have to take an official vote on it today. I did want to get the commission's blessing to move forward with discussions with the family, but I don't know exactly how many acres we will be receiving. And until we're able to kind of work out those details, if you feel more comfortable bringing it back to the commission once we have that data, that's fine. But I did want to get this in front of you, make sure that you're aware of it. If you hear about it, you know which property we're talking about. And one of the cool things about this site is part of a larger historic area. And I believe back in the early 1900s, one of the things that the family did that was pretty progressive, even at that time, was that they farmed corn, and they found a way. They developed a particular corn seed where you were able to almost triple or double or triple the amount of corn that you could grow that would be produced per plant. And so the family made a lot of money selling that seed first, as opposed to just using the very typical corn seed that a lot of people were using. We've done some research and we've received some historical information on the property from the City County Planning Department. Some very interesting things going on there, but did want to get this in front of the commission to get your blessings to go ahead and continue to have the discussions with the Hauser family so we could accept this gift deed. It will be gifted to the city. It will be at no cost to accept this land as part of our park inventory.
William, I think it's a good idea to get some more information before we actually vote on it. I did have a couple of questions. Geographically, where is this? Is this like northeast? Where is this?
This is, if you're on, I get these highways mixed up. If you're on the highway, you get off on Jonestown Road and you make a left, you go past, the RVs and some of those eating places. You'll continue down past the bowling alley, and you'll continue past the entrance to the neighborhood where you go down to Little Creek Recreation Center. If you just continue down Jonestown Road, continue south on Jonestown Road, you will come. You'll find the entrance to the property. And Joe just put a note in the chat for the meeting that it's just west of Hobby Park, which is accurate. But right at that, the parcel where it says 3.32 acres. If you look at the road there's a driveway entrance into the property right there. That is the main entrance into the site. I just think it's a tremendous opportunity. We don't have anything like this in our park system. I would like to kind of open it up because of the barns and some of the open up for horseback riding trails. I think it would be just a fabulous addition to our park property. But I need to get a much better understanding in terms of how the Beltway is going to impact the property. But I believe the construction and the easements and everything needed for this particular portion of the Beltway are pretty far off. So the property would be available to the public in its entirety until then.
The second question is, have we investigated, see if there's any particular cleanup in terms of, hazardous type waste or anything on the property?
As part of the city's due diligence, when we acquire property, we always do phase one environmentals, phase one environmental studies on the property. If we see any red flags as part of that phase one, we may even do a phase two. We don't think that there's anything out here. The ecosystem just surrounding the heavily wooded areas is pretty healthy. The stream was pretty healthy when we got close there. You can see fish and other animals in the creek, and so it's a very, very healthy property. I don't think it's been used for farming for a number of years. It's absolutely gorgeous. And when my goal is to get back out there and take some additional pictures, maybe get some photos of what some of those historical structures look like, kind of get some pictures of the home so they can kind of bring that information back to you and share it with the commission so you'll know and have some visuals to support what we know about the property. I just think it's going to be a fantastic addition to our park system.
Thank you, William.
Yeah. One question I have, does any type of pond?
No, there aren't any ponds on the site. However, there's a creek and a stream that's on the property. And there are also there's some easements. I believe that's Muddy Creek. I believe that is Muddy Creek. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's Muddy Creek. But there are plans. One of the beauties of obtaining this property is that we will already have the easements because there are future greenways and trails that are planned along the west side, the east side of the property along that stream. Are there any questions?
William, I agree with your assessment of the property. It sounds like an exciting opportunity for the city and the Parks Department. I guess my one question is related to realizing the amount of deferred maintenance with our existing parks and some of the parks that aren't yet completed. How do we ensure that those priorities are taken care of before funds are spent on this one?
It's not only after we completed the deferred maintenance assessment, and there's some discussions about happening internally in the city in terms of there are a lot of other projects and a lot of other things that need to be fixed. But since we completed that deferred maintenance assessment, it's not only been our priority, but it's also become city council's priority, city manager's office's priority that we fix what we have. There should be minimal. I'm not talking millions of dollars. I mean, it may take some money to just get the buildings here on the site fixed to a point so that they're structurally sound. But it's not our intention to take any money that's already been assigned to address maintenance needs to address anything here at this particular location. It's going to require some studies. We would have to hire a consultant to kind of tell us what needs to be done. The last time I did visit the site, other than the barn, the other structures on the site are pretty sound. It's just a matter of cutting in some walking paths, soft surface walking paths, and making the park available for public use. So it should require minimal investment from the city to kind of get the park where it needs to be. But it does not trump the department's or the city's dedication to fixing what we have first.
And where would the funding come from then?
Right now, it's undetermined. There hasn't been any funding identified, not even to hire a consultant to do anything here. That could be part of the negotiation that we have with the Piedmont Land Conservancy. Maybe they can provide some assistance with that. But I won't know that until we get much further down the road. But any plans for fixing anything or making or safening up some of the structures on the site, I'll make sure that we bring all of that information to the commission before $1 is spent out here fixing anything.
Is there any way to ensure that Long Creek and other parks that aren't yet completed would be completed before anything's done with this property?
It's in terms of when we say completed, like we did a master plan for Long Creek. What's going on now at Long Creek are the phase 1 improvements. I couldn't guarantee that something wouldn't be done here in conjunction while we continue to develop some of these other properties. That's really going to be up to the city council and their priorities. But we have to, there's some of our larger projects such as Long Creek and Winston Lake and Salem Lake phase 2, you know, there's still some long range goals and plans to do those things. But if this is a facility that council would like for us to open up sooner than later, then the city would have to find some sort of funding source. But that could be 2 to 3, 4 years down the road.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Well, I'll continue to have, I reached out to Piedmont Land Conservancy and the family this morning to try to schedule a meeting to kind of go over some of the details and get some of our questions answered. As we move forward with those talks and discussions and negotiations, I'll make sure that I keep the commission updated on the progress so that everything is as transparent as possible. Felicia, Chair, that is all that I have in regards to this property. Please go back to the agenda.
All right. I guess we're up to the departmental updates and information.
Well, Chair, we can begin those. And since, as you mentioned, last month, we ran short on time. I do want to let Renata Owens, our park superintendent, give her the time that she needs to kind of go over any updates that she needs to share with the commission this afternoon. Renata?
Good afternoon. Just want to give you a brief update of some of the projects that we've been working on or overseeing the capital side here in the maintenance division. As we can tell, I can tell you from last week with all the rain, some of the projects had came kind of to a halt. So we're hoping with the weather this week and going forward that they will be able to pick up and continue. Just a couple and keep it brief so everyone else will have a chance to speak. Quarry Park, currently right now, Quarry Park is progressing. We currently have a delay on the playground equipment. Our playground equipment is kind of held up in Canada on the trucks. So they're kind of waiting on those to come in. But other than that, you have the picnic shelter is up. The climbing walls are up. So, you know, they're progressing pretty good. And as well as the pollinator garden that's going on out there. So they're, you know, getting in the drainage, getting in the piping, things of that nature. So we're looking for that to come through, and hopefully within the next 60 days, we can see that come to fruition. Winston Lake Phase 2. Winston Lake Phase 2 currently right now has been completed. The contractor has completed their punch list. I know we as staff, we're scheduled to go out, take a look at it. I will urge you as the commission, if you have the time, get out, let's go see it, or make William possibly, you know, we do a trip together and take a look at it before we open it back up to the public. Currently, we have some issues as far as staff. We're going to go in and do some upfits in there. But other than that, it is completed. It's gorgeous. It looks very nice. In regards to the dredging of the lake, currently that particular piece of the project will not be completed until probably late spring going into June, July. They still are waiting for the materials and things to dry out. And then once that happens, they will actually do the grading up on the driving range with that material. Salem Lake is progressing, it's moving forward. The masonry has been put in, your boathouse has been installed, so that one's moving forward. Long Creek Park is moving forward. If you haven't been by, I think the actual, we have actually got the shelter and the wood beams for the pool house has been put up. Materials are on site for them to start building and working on the shelter, on the shelter piece of it and the restroom side of it. So that particular project is moving forward, scheduled for completion. They're looking hopefully May, maybe early June. Washington Park is progressing pretty well. Basically, they need dry weather to come in. They're ready to come in and start paving on the road for the Bond Street side. Technically, the stone and things have been put around the shelter. So the new shelter has been put up. The actual comfort station has been put up. So a lot of things have been moving well and going well out there at Washington Park. We will have pre-construction meeting for Bellevue Recreation Center. Bellevue Recreation Center will be undergoing major improvements similar to what we did at Carl Russell. We will start on this coming Thursday. We will have pre-construction meeting that we will meet with the contractor and staff. And so hopefully we can, after that meeting, we hope sometime mid-March, late March, contracting and also construction will start. Other than that, basically we have, some small projects that have been completed. Bolton Park is complete. So the contractor has completed all engineered wood fiber. Playground looks great. Park looks great. Get the opportunity, please ride by, take a look at it. All of our indoor basketball courts have been completed that we were scheduled to complete. Those were at WC Sims Center, Sprague Street, Miller Park, as well as there were a couple over at, where else were we? Martin Luther King. So we have got those complete. They're in. So if you're out by the recreation center, go in, talk to Leah, talk to her staff, take a look at the floors. They look great. So other than that, we're just gearing up. Staff is gearing up as April 1st is basically our kickoff season, which is when everything opens back up for us for rentals. Park usage is usually going to increase and things of that nature. So we're trying to gear up and get a lot of things done that will probably assist in that area. So we have a whole lot of minor projects that we're working on. One of the things that I have put on my agenda too is, as William has explained to you guys, the maintenance and tracking the maintenance. So we're hoping that once we get that underway and get all the kinks worked out, it will help us better and actually getting there quicker and also adhering to those safety concerns that are out there in the parks. So anyone has any questions?
Yeah, I have one question about Carl Russell. Have they got that completed? The floors in that building completed?
You said the floors?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Carl Russell, the contractor, has completed all his parts. What we are waiting on there, we still waiting on what is called the AV connections. We have a media room that still has to go up. There was a delay on products there, so he will not have those products or material ready till mid-March. Other than that, Carl Russell, the floor is in, game room. A lot of those amenities have been completed.
Okay, in the entryway, are you going to do anything to that floor, or is that going to remain the same?
That floor, we did not take out the flooring. That was a decision to leave the flooring. The flooring will be stripped. The flooring will be buffed, and hopefully it'll shine like new.
Yeah,
Okay.
they found that the floor, the main flooring area inside the center, there really weren't any deficiencies with it. It just needs a really, really good deep cleaning. And so we're not on our staff, we're working with the contractor and with city staff to make sure that that area gets cleaned. It used to be one of the nicest things you would see inside the center, but with all the new stuff that's been installed, it really stands out. And so we were on a walkthrough we had, Renata, 3 weeks ago, I believe. We had some discussions about getting that floor cleaned up. Any other questions for Renata? I did want to, and I know Renata kind of hit on this, but we were finally able to get all of our gym floor renovations complete. They're absolutely gorgeous. Been getting a lot of positive feedback. We have some people that think they're a little busy, but the overall impression is that the floors are really, 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 really nice. And Chair, I was going to wait to the conclusion of this meeting, but I wanted to make the suggestion that probably within the next couple of months, between April, May, and June, depending on how things are going with the pandemic, maybe having a meeting at a recreation center, picking up a box lunch, and then we can take you on a tour to see some of these facilities that you've been hearing so much about over the past 2 years.
I think that sounds great. Yeah, I was going to mention, what the plan was going forward. So you've already brought that up. So I think that's a great idea.
Brother, Mr. Roster, I wanted to know the amount of money that was appropriated for the Carl Russell facility and what was spent on it. Can we get some information on that?
Sure. We'll pull that information together and send a follow-up email to the commission today before the end of business with the budget information you requested.
Hey, William, have we set a date yet for Simpson for the renaming of the floor?
We have not. I have been having. We were approached by Councilmember Scipio for that very reason. And we wanted to kind of wait to see if the pandemic, some of the restrictions dealing with the pandemic would ease up to a point where we could do it safely. And we're looking at that literally, Sean, on a weekly basis. And so the early estimate right now is we're thinking that sometime in April that we'll be able to kind of get that facility out, get the community out, and kind of do a real nice dedication for Ben that he's deserving of. I didn't want to do it, even though the floor is done. We didn't want to go just do it and then not give the community and all of those people that love and support Ben an opportunity to come out and celebrate that honor with him. So we're going to look at sometime in April, and if not April, maybe early May.
Okay. I've been getting a lot of phone calls about that.
Yeah.
And I think people are excited.
Yes. I think we just want to make sure that whoever wants to come out and enjoy it, celebrate that they have the opportunity to. Any other questions before we move on to special facilities? All right, Gregory James is our special facilities superintendent. I'm going to turn it over to Greg to kind of go over some of the things he's doing at Salem Lake. Greg, we have about 9 minutes left in the meeting.
No problems. Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. I just want to give you an update on some of our programs upcoming for spring and summer. With our youth athletics, we'll be bringing back some of our key programs: baseball, softball, track and field, utilizing the really great track down there at Sim Center. We'll be doing tennis, a number of 2 athletic camps as well, which we did last year. We will have a program at Bethabra that focuses on the role of women in the settlements. Mentioned that last time we met. It's going to be called Anna Katharina's Bethabra. Very excited to bring that. Tons of different dialogues. We're going to also going to have Indigenous Peoples Day. We've been working with the museum over in Cherokee, and they're going to be providing 2 speakers to come over. So big exciting one. Just putting some dates together, and of course I will let people know. Salem Lake, we have partnered with High Point University. They're going to be coming with a mobile lab. We're going to do some water testing over here, which will be very interesting. We have Nature Kids returning. Excuse me. It's a toddler-based program. There are some toddler programs in the sea. But we deem it an area where there's not that much service. So we're really trying to address that gap. And then finally, youth violence prevention with Bryce Sherman. I really think it'd be a great idea to bring Bryce to the next meeting. He's been a tremendous asset to our, and we look forward to him spreading his wings in this new role. So that's all I have for you today.
All right, thank you, Greg. I believe Leah is with us as well. Leah, would you like to go over some of the programs and things going on in your respective area as well?
Yeah, we just have a couple of minutes, so I'm going to be pretty fast about this. March is Read Across America Month, so we are working on a couple of literacy programs. One of the things that we have is we have a storybook stroll out at Miller Park. If you're familiar with Miller Park, it goes around the big loop where the open field is. The intentions behind the walk is to have families interact with their children. You go to the storybook page, read it out loud. There's an activity on it. You interact, you do whatever that activity is, and you make it to page 2. So that should loop families around the park. Another one that we're doing is our real reading program that's intended for 3 to 5-year-olds. That's going to happen at 4 locations. There are flyers down here, but please will send all that stuff out to you guys so you have it later. Some of the other things, as we mentioned last time, we are working hard on our summer camps. We have concerns about recruitment this summer. As you guys are aware, hiring across the nation has been quite a bit of a challenge. So we do have our playfield leader positions posted for summertime. If you guys know any great candidates or people who would be good in these roles, please feel free to share that information with them. Registration for summer camps start before we meet next time. So think about that, which will be April 2nd. So time is flying. Those are the big things I wanted to go over. There are some additional stuff, but like I said, we have the flyers and Felicia will send that to you guys after the meeting.
Yeah, they've actually already been sent out.
Perfect. Great. So do you guys have any questions about any of the programs?
How did the bridge building go?
It went really good. If you guys have never attended, I really encourage you guys to attend next year or build a bridge and come out there and break it. Nicole Hill, the district supervisor, has taken lead over that program. And what we do is we have a local one and then we go compete with 5 other municipalities. Greensboro, Thomasville, Lexington, High Point, us, and I know I shouldn't have listed them out because I knew I was going to forget somebody. Kernersville. So anyways, we just had our regional competition this past Saturday, but with our local one, we had over 25 participants. Staff did a phenomenal job. Nicole has really taken that underneath her and just she's done really well. I love going to see it because it's very diverse. There's a little bit of everybody that participates. And I think, of course, one of the things that I really like to see is you've got this upcoming of young girls that are coming into that whole STEM, the engineering process. And I think with Nicole's leadership, we're seeing that nice number of males and females and seeing that balance. So it was really good. Thank you for asking.
And Chair, I know that there were 2 other quick things I wanted to mention just to put on your radar that I know just in lieu of time, I want to make sure that the commission knows we're still working on. One is the Commission Handbook. I know that Taylor made a pretty good suggestion about some information, additional information to provide as part of this document. We have gone through it internally. We do want to let the city attorney's office go through, provide a set of eyes on it. Once we're able to get any comments back from them, we'll provide a final draft to see if there's anything additional that you would like to have added. But we're nearing the conclusion of being able to pull all this together. So we'll say thank you to Felicia, Taylor, and everyone else that's been involved in helping to pull that together. I'm sorry.
We really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big help. I think it's a wonderful idea. There was the one that we had before was well outdated, and so I think it could be a good resource and a good tool for the commission to use. And it'll be a work in progress as we kind of continue to work through it. If we need to add additional things, we'll continue to add that to make sure it's as comprehensive as possible. The other thing I wanted to mention to you, Mr. Younts, Stephen Younts, has been preparing this document, which is a annual performance report that kind of goes through and looks at the various divisions throughout the department, from our therapeutic recreations team to our maintenance team, aquatics, athletics, so on and so forth. But it kind of gives you a snapshot on how we were able to perform. It documents attendance. Steve is going to be working on a condensed presentation for you all once all of our internal eyes that need to look at it have looked at it before we share that with you. It's still being reviewed, but we will be asking Steve to come back and provide a presentation to kind of hit some of the highlights from our last year's performance report. And this will be something that we'll do on an annual basis moving forward to kind of document and celebrate some of our successes. So I wanted to make sure I had presented that to you as well, Chair. And that's all that I have.
Okay, I wanted to circle back on the Hauser property. One thing, when you come back after you've gathered more information, I think it would be helpful for the committee members to make them more comfortable is that we just kind of review how this would fit in with the strategic plan for the parks and any known liabilities and possibilities for funding.
Will do. I'll make sure that I'll try to make sure that I truly understand the concerns of the commission, but I'll try to make sure that everything involved in that land donation is as transparent as possible, that you're fully supportive of it.
All right. Is there anything else anybody has before we adjourn?
Real quick, William, any updates on the mentee mentor program that we talked about?
Gregory James mentioned something briefly during his talk. They're working on bringing some information back. We did have a meeting last week, Sean. We do have some information that we're going to. Greg and Bryce are condensing all of that and sorting it, and we should have an update and some actionable things that we will be prepared to do here very, very soon. We're close. We're very close. Yes, sir.
I think that's going to be a positive for our young people in our city and community. And I'm looking forward to being a part of it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to you being a part of it as well, Sean.
Definitely appreciate your support, Sean, with the endeavor. And when Bryce and I were meeting this morning, he will be in contact with you in the next week or two. Definitely a priority for us. We have a calendar of events that we've briefly sketched out. So you can expect some good action with that in the next month.
Yeah. Okay. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. I just wanted to express my appreciation and support for Taylor and to basically head this thing up on the Commission Handbook, and Felicia for helping out. So I really appreciate, both you guys doing that. It's 1:00. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn. Taylor.
Seconded by Joe.
Thank you.
All right.
We
Have a
are
great day.
adjourned. You guys as well. And if you have any feedback for the handbook, just feel free to send me an email.
And you put that link in the notice that you sent out before, right? Is that where that link is?
Yes, it is in the email.
All right, great. Thank
Yes.
you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everyone.